is Carol Copeland Thomas. We just enjoy ourselves with a wonderful workshop that I had the opportunity of running for the Commonwealth Compact called Intergenerational Diversity in the Workplace. Had a small, intimate group but talked about some relevant issues related to nonprofit organizations, for-profit corporations, and the University of Massachusetts Boston campus where we're currently doing this filming. We hope that you will explore the opportunities that you have with multi-generational, intergenerational issues, whether you're working for a small organization, a large one, or whether you just want to understand the differences between baby boomers, Generation X, and millennials. It's a great topic and one for you. But I am glad that you're here. It's a nice intimate group, even though we have a very large room, but we have a great view. So that's going to make up for it. We move some of the chairs around. And hopefully this will be engaging and stimulating and will give you a new perspective on intergenerational issues in the workplace, at home, in your communities. And trust me, as you get older, it becomes more relevant to you. You sort of blow it off when you're younger and say, oh, those old people, and you make those kind of comments, but then you become one of the old people and you realize that as a baby boomer, the first group of baby boomers are actually turning 65 this year. And so, oh my goodness, this is real, this is serious, and there are lots of things to really consider. We'll talk first of all with Cheryl. Hello.
Hi, thank you, Carol. I'm Cheryl Friedlow. I'm the manager of organizational effectiveness for Boston Medical Center. In terms of what I want to get out of it, I guess just some additional ideas. I mean, we're dealing with some generational issues. You know, at the medical center, we've got a lot of long-term employees as well as some much younger employees, and you know, I think they all look at things, you know, a little bit different. We just did a very big engagement survey, and some of the survey results are telling that we've got some serious work to do, so any ideas that we can figure out.
Yeah, great. And you're talking about how many employees?
We have probably around 5,000.
5,000 employees, okay. Great, thank you.
Thank you, Cheryl. And there.
Yes, I'm Christopher Hartley. I'm a nonprofit consultant and working primarily with healthcare and human and social service organizations. So I think what I'm most interested in today in this topic is sort of thinking about how generational influences in the workplace, the sort of the more subtle aspects of them. I think some of the more obvious ones people recognize immediately, but sometimes they have underlying impacts that you don't immediately recognize what the root cause is. So that's one of my areas of interest today.
The subtleties. All right, great, thank you.
Hi, thanks. I'm Diane Loud. I'm also with Boston Medical Center, and I work with Cheryl Friedlow. As she mentioned, we have some work to do around understanding how intergenerational diversity manifests itself at work. Currently, approximately 60% of our workforce is over 40, and we have, 4 generations in the workplace. And part of our role in organizational effectiveness is to help everybody work efficiently together. So, generating some ideas around that.
Do you have older employees who have long retired who are coming back either as paid employees or volunteers? Is that also a factor in the workplace at Boston Medical?
Not so much with volunteers or with returning workers. We do have a number of long-term employees who have delayed retirement or who have changed from full-time roles to per diem roles, things like that.
How many do you have a growing number who are delaying their retirement now?
As I understand it, yes, we do. I don't have a figure on that or a percentage, so.
I'm sure that's going to grow. Society is caught up in being very youthful. I can see a number of women on television now who are being edged out. I won't name names, but you can just sort of use your imagination because they're getting older or they're not as young as they were. That doesn't mean that the men they're working with are edged out. They're still on the air. And so those kind of cases and others like it, workplace issues, or certainly when you're in an industry where youth is at a premium, it can cause these kind of age-related cases that are either settled out of court or provide these large, large fees. So give me a sense of what you, just maybe one each, the kind of issues where age impacts and relates to you in the workplace. Cheryl?
One of the things I jotted down was career development and expectations around career in general and the conversations that we have. I think, you know, again, from our perspective, a lot of the younger employees are looking to move more quickly, and there's a lot of older folks who, well, you know, I came up through the ranks, and you have to, you know, put in your time. Those type of issues.
I want you to know, millennials, they want things now. They don't want to wait. They want things now. That is not to stereotype millennials, but there is a higher expectation that they can achieve and accomplish and get things right now. And so what does that mean when you're working with someone who is from the Midwest and is used to coming up the ranks in the auto industry? If I were to give a profile of some of the folks who are from Detroit, Michigan, where you get a job and you stay on that job and you get to a certain point and you move up in an organization and ultimately you retire and you go off to the sunset. That's the expectation of my generation versus someone who is 20, how old are you, my friend? 25 years old, a great millennial there, and you know, thinking about being 65, no way, I'm not going to hang around here that long. So you've got those two different thoughts in the workplace with you know, several thousand, 5,000 employees, 70,000 employees. How do you manage those things? Christopher, what about you?
Well, I think sort of tied to that was also the sort of notion of people's sense of loyalty to how long you stay, and younger employees think nothing of job hopping, you know, every 2 years or so. I think that's tempered a little bit right now because of the economy. But again, the sort of, you know, the idea that, you know, that you would stay 10, 20 years and maybe, you know, give your whole career to one company is just really a bygone notion. And I'm not sure that that's necessarily a bad thing. I think somewhere in the middle is probably, you know, the optimal solution.
It's the same thing, and talking about those who are younger, who
Have high hopes and they see themselves, you know, driving a yacht or, you know, or have, you know, having a yacht on the Charles River or whatever it happens to be, and having more leisure time versus someone who sees themselves on the job plugging away for longer periods of time. In this book as well, speaking of how millennials want to be heard, there was a comment made by a staff member that says, at staff meetings, I am asked for my opinion, which is great. I can speak up without fear of being shot down. I see my opinions listened to, considered, and some turned into actions, and that's what keeps me here. That's actually from a 20-year-old from Northeastern University. I wanted to read that one. Student full-time working at the Institute for International Urban Development. So there are high hopes for millennials. It's not all bad news. It's what their expectations are too.
I call myself the middle person because I'm age 38, so I've done the 2 year span, I've done the managing someone older than I and vice versa, and I'm in a good situation working here at the university where, you know, my boss is 60 plus, you know, and my colleagues are a range of age, so, you know, communicating in a respectful way, understanding, being a good listener. I find being a good listener now. Not saying that I know everything, but I'm always constantly learning. You know, I can relate when I was much younger. I thought I knew it all, you know, and, you know, when things didn't go my way, you know, oh, well, you know what, I'll just put my resume out there and get picked right up. But, you know, that reflects back to loyalty and stability. You know, I'm a single parent now, so I can't just easily just job hop because that's not showing any kind of security on my end. And then, you know, a lot of companies these days are looking for stability, someone loyal to move up in the ranks. So I totally get it. I respect all the comments.
So I hear a little age and wisdom sort of settling in. Children do that to you, and single parents, so it's not like you can go off and bar hop or whatever on Friday nights, maybe like you used to do.